Marcus Cole scrubbed the marble lobby floors long after the building emptied, the quiet broken only by the soft hum of servers behind glass walls. The tech tower glittered above him, a monument to money and brilliance he was never meant to touch. He worked nights as a janitor, days tutoring his son in math from old library books. Marcus loved patterns, logic, the way numbers behaved honestly when people didn't. Tonight, though, his thoughts wandered. Rent was due. His son's laptop barely worked. And somewhere upstairs, a billionaire decided futures with keystrokes. He was wiping fingerprints from a conference room screen when he heard a sharp exhale. A woman stood alone at the long table, hair tied back, sleeves rolled, eyes red from staring too long. The screen behind her was filled with lines of code broken, angry red airs everywhere. She didn't notice Marcus at first. Then she did, startled. "Sorry," she said quickly. "Didn't mean to be here so late." Marcus nodded. "I'll be quick." He turned to leave, but the code flickered again. Paused, frowned without meaning to. "Do you understand this?" she asked, surprising them both. Marcus hesitated. "Some," he said carefully. She laughed, tired and sharp. "Of course you do," she muttered. "Everyone here does except me tonight." She rubbed her eyes. "I'm Elena Reyes. My company's launch is in 6 hours, and my translation layer keeps failing. It's converting legacy code, and one error breaks everything." She looked at him, measuring. "You really understand it?" Marcus swallowed. "I can try." Elena waved him over, desperation beating pride. He read silently, tracing logic paths with his eyes. "Your parser assumes fixed-width encoding," he said softly. "But this module outputs variable-length tokens. The translation isn't wrong, it's blind." He typed a small test, adjusted a loop, added a guard. The errors fell away like dominoes. Elena stared. "How did you? My dad taught me," Marcus said. "Before he died, we fixed radios. Then I studied." Life changed. She nodded slowly. Life does that. Her phone buzzed. She silenced it. "I'm a single mother," she added suddenly. "My daughter's asleep upstairs. Investors think I'm fearless. Tonight I'm not." Marcus smiled faintly. "Fear means you care." They worked together, translating edge cases, optimizing memory. The code stabilized. Elena exhaled a breath she'd been holding for weeks. "You just saved my company," she said. "What's your role here?" Marcus glanced at his cart. "Floors." She blinked. "No," she said. "What's your role in life?" He thought of his son, of late nights and quiet dreams. "Problem solver," he said. Lena laughed. "A real one." "Then you're wasted here." She stopped, serious. "I need someone I can trust. Tomorrow will be chaos. You come back after your shift?" Marcus hesitated. "Rules. Lines." He nodded. "I'll come." She extended her hand. "Thank you, Marcus." He shook it, unaware cameras had logged the session, unaware that help from a janitor would ripple outward. As he cleaned the last room, Marcus felt something shift. The code had translated, so had his place in this building. And when dawn came, nothing would be the same. The next morning, Marcus woke to the sound of his alarm and the faint hum of city traffic. Nights at the tech tower left his muscles sore, but sleep was brief and interrupted by his son Elijah, tugging at his arm. "Daddy," he whispered, "did you fix the code lady's problem?" Marcus chuckled softly. "I helped, buddy. That's all." Elijah smiled, brushing hair from his face. "You're like a superhero." Marcus ruffled his son's hair, hiding the tiredness behind a grin. "Superheroes get tired too." By mid-morning, Marcus found himself back at the tower, not for cleaning, but because Elena had called. "We need you," her voice said over the line, calm but urgent. "Investors are reviewing the system. I don't trust anyone else. Can you come?" He hesitated. Work schedules, bills, exhaustion. But he remembered the red errors cascading like fire last night. He remembered the sense of fear and relief in her eyes. Something about responsibility tugged at him. "I'll be there," he said. The office was alive with tension. Engineers hovered over laptops. Investors in suits whispered to one another. And Elena moved through the room like a conductor, elegant but exhausted. When she saw Marcus, she waved him over. "The translation layer is still failing in edge cases. I need a fresh pair of eyes." Marcus scanned the screen, lines of code like a foreign language, a system designed to bridge old architectures with new ones. He knelt beside her chair. Your token normalization fails when input characters exceed buffer length, he said. I can patch it with a pre-check and a rollback on exceptions. Elena's eyes widened. You really know what you're doing? Marcus shrugged. I know patterns. Logic is logic. They worked side by side, hands moving over keyboards, minds synchronized, errors dropped one by one. Investors murmured, impressed, though Marcus barely noticed. His focus was simple. Fix the problem. Hours later, the system stabilized. Lena leaned back, exhaling deeply. Marcus, she said, I don't know how to thank you. He shook his head. Just glad it works. She smiled, eyes glistening. You've done more than that. You've saved the launch, you've saved jobs. She paused, looking down. I've never met someone who treats my team with as much respect as you do, even though you're different from them. Marcus felt heat rise to his cheeks. I just treat people like people. Elena's gaze softened. Exactly. That afternoon, she invited him to a private meeting. Investors were gone. Just the two of them in a quiet office. She pushed a small envelope toward him. I know you don't do this for money, she said, but this is for the hours you've dedicated. Inside were cash, signed bonuses, and a small card. Marcus stared. I can't. I don't. You can, she said firmly. You earned it. The room fell silent. Marcus realized something bigger was happening. This wasn't just about code. This wasn't just about a job. Lena had trusted him, a janitor, with the most sensitive system in her company. She had let him step into a world he'd never thought he'd touch. And she had looked at him not as an employee, not as a stranger, but as someone capable of integrity, intelligence, and courage. Marcus left that day with a mix of awe and disbelief. He returned home to Elijah, who jumped into his arms. Did you do it, Daddy? Yes, buddy, he said, holding him tight. We did it. But deep down, Marcus knew this was only the beginning. Helping Alina had opened a door not just to a company, but to a world where his skills, his heart, and his honor mattered. A world where one night of courage could ripple far beyond the janitor's closet he'd always known. And somewhere, in a tower of glass and steel, Alina Reyes watched the screen logs, grateful, smiling, and already planning the next move, because she knew Marcus wasn't just a helper. He was someone she could rely on when everything else teetered on chaos. The next few weeks blurred together in a rhythm Marcus had never known. He split his time between the warehouse janitorial shifts and the private coding sessions with Alina. Most nights, he scrubbed floors until his muscles burned. Then he'd sit under the harsh fluorescent lights of the tech lab, translating and debugging code with precision that surprised even him. Alina watched him silently at first, studying how he approached problems. She was a billionaire single mother, used to delegating, used to seeing people follow instructions. But Marcus didn't follow, he understood. He anticipated the code's needs. He spoke in logic and patterns, not in technical jargon. One evening, after hours of quiet work, she finally said, I've seen thousands of programmers, Marcus. None like you. Marcus shook his head, hands tired. I just see the patterns, that's all. Alina leaned back, tired but smiling faintly. No, you don't understand. You solve problems. You don't wait to be told what's wrong. You care enough to notice the small things that no one else sees. That's rare. Her words sank deep. Marcus felt an unfamiliar weight of pride, tempered with disbelief. He was a janitor. He cleaned floors. He delivered food for his son. And yet here he was, side by side with a billionaire, solving problems she thought only experts could touch. One night after the launch, simulations ran flawlessly. Alina closed her laptop and looked directly at him. Marcus, I need your help beyond this. I need someone I can trust to manage the launch operations while I handle investors and meetings. You've proved yourself. I want you to lead the technical team tomorrow. Marcus blinked. Lead. You do, Alina interrupted softly. Trust me, I've seen you work. You have instinct, judgment, and integrity. The team will listen to you because they can tell you care about the code, not just the paycheck. You have exactly what's needed. For a moment, Marcus couldn't speak. He thought about his son, Elijah curled up at home, wondering if his dad would ever escape the endless cycles of janitorial work and bills. Could this opportunity change everything? Could he dare to step into a world he never imagined belonged to him? The next day, he arrived early. The technical team, skeptical at first, watched silently as Marcus began reviewing modules, identifying inefficiencies, and assigning tasks. By mid-morning, he'd corrected critical translation errors, streamlined processes, and implemented checks that prevented potential system crashes. The team began to look at him not just with surprise, but with respect. Alina appeared briefly to watch from the observation deck, smiling quietly. She had taken a risk by trusting him, and now that risk was paying off in ways neither of them had anticipated. By the end of the day, the project was back on track. Investors received preliminary reports. The launch system ran smoother than expected. Marcus left the office exhausted, but elated. Walking home, he replayed the moments in his head, the red errors, the night he stayed late, the way Alina had trusted him. He realized something profound. One act of courage, one choice to step forward and help someone else, had opened doors he never thought possible. At home, Elijah hugged him tightly. "Daddy, did you do it?" Marcus hugged him back, smiling. "We did it, buddy. We did it together." That night, Marcus lay awake, thinking about the twists of fate. A janitor, a billionaire, a single mother, a son who believed in his dad's quiet strength. None of it made sense in the normal world, but the impossible had become real. And deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The trust Alina had placed in him had changed his life, and now there was no turning back. He was no longer just a janitor cleaning floors. He was someone who could solve problems, lead teams, and navigate a world he never thought he could enter. The door to possibility had opened. All he had to do was walk through. The weeks following the launch were a whirlwind. Marcus had transitioned fully into his new role, operations lead for Alina's tech team. He no longer scrubbed floors at night. Instead, he debugged complex systems, coordinated coding teams, and oversaw live translations for the company's international platforms. The title alone was surreal, but the respect he earned from engineers and investors alike felt even more extraordinary. Alina rarely gave praise outright, but she had a way of letting Marcus know she trusted him completely. She had watched him, learned from him, and now relied on him. One afternoon, she called him into her office. "Marcus," she said, leaning on her desk, "we have an opportunity to expand into new international markets, but the translation code needs real-time adaptability. I want you to lead the project." Marcus froze for a moment. "Lead me." "You already do," Alina said, smiling faintly. "You've proven that you don't just fix problems, you anticipate them. You think like the system thinks, but also like people think. That combination, it's rare." He swallowed, thinking of Elijah and the small apartment where they used to live. I'll do my best." Alina nodded. "That's all I ever ask." Over the next months, Marcus thrived. He trained the team, optimized code workflows, and implemented safeguards no one else had thought of. The system's stability improved dramatically, impressing investors and employees alike. One evening, after a particularly grueling 12-hour session, Marcus and Alina stayed behind to review final updates. The office was quiet, the city lights flickering through the tall windows. "You've changed the way I see things," Alina said softly. "I always believed in hiring the most qualified people, but you brought something else. Heart, integrity, perspective." Marcus looked down at his hands. "I just tried to do the right thing," she smiled, a mix of admiration and gratitude, "and that's exactly what makes you rare." Months later, the company's platform expanded globally. Marcus oversaw the system's operations and continued mentoring the coding teams. His life had transformed, not because of money, but because someone had seen potential in him when he was just a janitor helping clean floors and debug code after hours. One afternoon, as Marcus walked into the lobby, he noticed a young intern struggling to solve a small coding issue. Marcus bent down, quietly guiding her through the problem, showing her how to spot errors without frustration or judgment. Alina watched from her office and smiled. The janitor she had once seen by chance, helping her during a storm of errors, had become the foundation of her company's technical success. He had proven that opportunity could meet preparation, and that sometimes the simplest acts of help extended at the right moment could change everything. That night, Marcus returned home, walked into Elijah's room and found him drawing a computer network on a notepad. "Daddy," the boy exclaimed. "Look, I'm making code like you." Marcus laughed, ruffling his son's hair. "You'll be better than me one day, buddy." Elijah smiled proudly. "Maybe, but you saved the company." Marcus knelt beside him. "We saved it together, little man. Remember that. Always help when you can. Sometimes the people you help won't even realize it now, but your actions will matter more than you know." As Marcus turned off the light, he realized how far they'd come from janitor floors to global systems, from uncertainty to trust, from small kindness to life-changing impact. And somewhere deep inside, he knew the most important code he had ever translated wasn't in a computer, it was in human hearts, integrity, compassion, and courage. One small act of help had not only saved a system, it had rewritten the course of his life forever.